Well, I don't think it really is about where you live. I think it's about what we can do nationally and finding cures for kids, finding cures for those who are suffering these shocking diseases. And with this fund, I think we'll see more money going into research and finding those solutions and those cures for those that we love.
My particular passion is assisting disadvantaged communities, and the Burnet Institute just happens to be a global institute but based in Melbourne, so hence my attraction to the work of that institute. But I'm a strong supporter of science and medical research generally, always have been, whether it's in Adelaide or whether it's all over Australia.
Well, I think there are many. Keeping our young researchers in Australia. At present, the opportunities are not here in Australia to continue that research, so we lose our best and brightest overseas. That's a critical part of this fund. Obviously, the opportunity to collaborate with other funds and institutes both in Australia and around the world. We've seen the power of the Wellcome Trust in the UK, the Gates Foundation in the United States, and now we will have our own world-class fund that will be able to compete with others and collaborate with others and find those cures.
I agree with the brain drain especially. That's a huge concern for our nation. But innovation requires certainty. It requires long-term sustained vision, support and resources. You can't expect cures to happen overnight. So investing in hope is a big deal, but it requires long-term sustainable investment, and that's what an ongoing fund offers researchers and the people of Australia.
Well, I think we can unlock so much of our potential here, and we've got some wonderful Australian medical companies, CSL, Cochlear. They have achieved an enormous amount, and if we can put more into research, see more into innovation, more into commercialisation, we will just see an absolute rise of these sorts of businesses, these sorts of industries in Australia.
I want to see Australians not only as innovators, inventors, producing cures. I want them also to have ownership of this intellectual property and the patents that go with it. I want them to stay in Australia for economic and other benefit as well. So that's an important part of the fund.
Well, we're talking about a doubling of medical research in this country. At the moment it sits around $800 million. The need for a $20 billion fund is to see that annuity, that $1 billion that will spin off each year as a result of having a fund of that size. It makes really good economic sense. It sees certainty, as Natasha mentioned. It gives us that base from which we can really grow medical research even further in this country.
The benefits are going to be 10 times that, whether it's saving lives, preventing illness, even reducing the costs of our health and other budgets, let alone the commercialisation and the export potential that comes with it. This is really a drop in the ocean by some standards. It's an important one, and the certainty that that will give researchers for the future is just wonderful.
Well, it's not about one or the other. I think what we talk about is the entire system. I think we have seen clearly there's a lot of funding going on in other areas of the health system, but this is really important. If we get these cures right, we obviously reduce the cost in other areas of health. And so really getting behind those young researchers, getting behind our institutes, our universities, our businesses that are all working together to find these cures, that'll ultimately help lower the cost of our health in our health system. It makes a lot of sense.
It's part of a holistic approach. Of course, we have to have an investment, whether it's the primary prevention end of health, right through to interventions and services for those people who are diagnosed with conditions and illnesses. But let's try and stop them before they occur. And the wonderful groundbreaking research that many Australian scientists have been responsible for, come on, it's time to develop that further.
Well, of course, we met Alistair and knew Alistair very, very well, and only a few weeks ago he passed away with a brain tumour. Connie has had cancer 3 times in her life, and she's now suffering terribly with cancer. She is so brave, and she provides us with so much sort of incentive and heart and drive to continue this fight for this fund. I mean, they're just 2 people of thousands and thousands and thousands of Australians who are suffering. And really, when we look at them, they're the people who drive us, or they're the people who make us want to turn this into a reality.
Connie and my dear friend Alistair are just the personal faces. They personalise this issue for some of us. But every Australian, indeed every family in this country, knows someone who is touched by illness or disease. And that's why so many Australians feel so strongly about research. That's why I'm convinced Australians will embrace wholeheartedly the idea of so much money being used for such good. Australians support this, and that's why, for Alistair, for Connie, and the many, many thousands of Australians who are living with or suffering from conditions or illnesses, or indeed who've died from them, their families understand why this is so important.